Yo, what is good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy Podcast. My name is Tyler Anderson. I am your host. And if you are watching the YouTube, you might notice I have a little bit of a different haircut. Shout out to my YouTube gaming community over at T Ultra on YouTube. We just hit 1,000 subs. So I told them if we hit 1K, I would get a mullet. So that is the explanation for that. Also, feel free if you like video games. I play a lot of Call of Duty, other random games sometimes. Check out T Ultra on YouTube. But we're here to talk fantasy football. That was a very early plug. Sorry, I just had to get the hair explanation out of the way quick. And, you know, I never turn down a chance to plug my channels. So I'm recording this on Saturday, December 14th. This is episode 30 of the Fantasy Football Prodigy Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be going over my week 15 starts of the week for the 2024 playoffs. This is week one of the playoffs for most leagues. I'm going to give you some players that I think are good starts, maybe players who I think are going to exceed their normal expectations, some good matchups. And we have some injuries, some big key injuries this week. So especially in the running back segment, I have a couple guys that are going to take advantage of some notable injuries. So let's get those lineups looking right. But before we do that, please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are enjoying the podcast so that you can become a fantasy football prodigy, because you can't do that if you don't know when the episodes are dropping, right? So we're going to go position by position. I'm going to give you my starts of the week for each position. So we're going to start with the quarterback position. My first QB start of the week, Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers at home versus the Tampa Bay Bucks if wide receiver Ladd McConkey plays. As of this recording, he may or may not play. We'll have to wait and see, monitor the news. But Herbert wasn't great for fantasy to start the season, but as the offense has started to rely on his passing more and more as the season has gone along, it looked like things were maybe starting to look up for the quarterback. However, the last 2 weeks have been quite rough for Justin Herbert. With that being said, he was a quarterback one in the 5 games before that rough pair of games. And the second of those 2 games that didn't really go well for fantasy, he was without stud rookie wide receiver Ladd McConkey. As of this recording, Ladd is questionable for week 15, but if he suits up, I love Herbert in this great matchup against Tampa Bay, who have given up the most points per game to quarterbacks on the season. As an added bonus, the Bucs are an offense that can move the ball, so there is also the potential for a bit of a back and forth on offense if things go the right way. In week 15, Herbert is a low quarterback one if McConkey plays, and he is more of a lower floor streaming option if McConkey sits. I got one more quarterback start of the week for you, and that is Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos at home versus the Indianapolis Colts. He's a quarterback 8 overall in the season, quarterback 11 in points per game. He started the season a little bit slow, but since week 5, he is the quarterback 5 in all of fantasy football. Just tremendous. Wide receiver Courtland Sutton is turning into an every week start, and he's a great start this week. And he and Bo Nix have just had an awesome connection all season long, and he's been a great number 1 target for the rookie to throw the ball to. The running game has been up and down all season, so the Broncos are not one of those teams that can just lean on its running backs to win games, which only means the offense relies on Bo Nix that much more. This is a decent matchup against the Colts. He's a low quarterback 1 start in week 15. We're going to move on to the running back position, and this is where I have kind of a lot of information for y'all, okay? So I need you to stop what you're doing, just take a deep breath, lock in, and make sure put your listening ears on, okay? I got technically 4 running back starters of the week here, okay? One of them is kind of a tandem, but they are 2 separate players on 2 separate teams, so you'll see when we get there. Spoiler alert, okay? So my first running back start of the week, Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers at home versus the Dallas Cowboys. Chuba is the running back 9 in points per game since week 3. The Panthers have been playing much better lately, and they're actually favored in this game. The Carolina Panthers are favored to win a game. It's a miracle. Something only the Cowboys could accomplish. If there was any worry about rookie running back Jonathan Brooks coming in and taking away touches from Chuba Hubbard, they were squelched 2 weeks ago when Brooks suffered that season-ending ACL injury, and Hubbard saw a combined 30 touches the following week. He has been consistently phenomenal since week 3, outside of a shocking bust performance in week 13 against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, I did make him a start of the week that week. We don't talk about that, but I am expecting big things out of Chuba this week. The Cowboys are the 4th best matchup for running backs on the season. He is a low to mid running back 1 play in week 15. And we're not done with that game yet, ladies and gentlemen. No, we're not. My next running back start of the week in that same game on the other side of the field, Rico Dowdle of the Dallas Cowboys on the road against the Carolina Panthers. It took way too long, but the team has finally made Dowdle the clear lead back in Dallas over the last few weeks. He has seen 19 or more touches in each of the last 3 games, and he is the running back 12 in points per game over that span. The Panthers give up the most points to running backs on the season, and even though they have been playing a little bit more competitive football lately, they are still arguably the best matchup for running backs in all of fantasy football. Rico Dowdle is a high running back 2 in week 15. My next running back start of the week is a little bit of a combo. We're going to call this the handcuff of the week starts, okay? So Zach Charbonnet of the Seattle Seahawks at home versus the Green Bay Packers, and Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Bucks on the road against the LA Chargers. These are 2 committee backs that I think can be great starts this week if the starter for their team is out. Let's start with Charbonnet. Starting running back Kenneth Walker missed last week, and he is listed as doubtful for week 15. Charbonnet has been a monster this season when he's had the chance to start. Here are his finishes in the 3 games he has started in 2024. He was the running back 12 in week 2, the running back 6 in week 3, and last week in week 14, he was the running back 1 overall against the Cardinals. He had 22 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and he had 7 receptions on 7 targets for 59 yards through the air, finishing with 34.8 fantasy points in half PPR. The Packers are a middle of the pack, no pun intended, matchup, but if Kenneth Walker misses time, I love Charbonnet as a high running back 2 play in week 15, just based on volume and how great he has looked as the starter. Next, we have Rachaad White of the Bucks. Rookie running back Bucky Irving came in and stole the show this season, making this backfield more of a committee. Well, last week, Bucky was dealing with injury, and even though he suited up for the game, his injury prevented him from playing the entirety of the game, and he was limited to just 5 touches and ended up leaving early. With Irving limited, Rachaad White played 76% of the snaps and scored 22.9 fantasy points, finishing as the running back 4 on the week. Bucky Irving has been on the injury report all week, and he's currently listed as a game time decision for week 15 against the Chargers as of this recording. If he is out, Rachaad White regains his lead back role. He's been solid as a committee back, even with the emergence of Bucky Irving, but having the backfield all to himself makes him even more intriguing for fantasy. The Chargers might look like a tough matchup on the season, but their defense has taken a bit of a step back in recent weeks, with many of their defensive rushing metrics falling off a little bit. They have also given up the 8th most receptions to running backs on the year, which is where Rachaad White thrives, catching passes, doing work in the passing game. In week 15, Rachaad White is a mid running back 2 if Bucky Irving is out, and he is still startable even if a banged up Bucky Irving is active for that game. That was a bit of a mouthful there, okay? So like I said, we got the little bit of the handcuffs of the week, okay? We'll call them the handcuffs of the week. And I don't think Bucky Irving is going to play as of this recording, and Kenneth Walker is already listed as doubtful. It's very rare that you see a player listed as doubtful actually play. So there's injuries going around, it doesn't affect me really because, I got 2 bye weeks, okay? We do what we do, okay? One league I missed the playoffs. 2, we have the bye week, and then I'm in a league where it's just a 2-week playoff, and we're locked into the playoffs right now, fighting for the 1 seed this week. So Dynasty League got the bye week as well. So we're just kind of coasting this week, resting up for next week. So hopefully you guys are in a similar position, but I'm still here for you. Even though it doesn't really matter, I'm still doing the research, giving you guys all the best plays this week. None of them are going to bust. I only make good calls. So make sure to follow or subscribe so that you too can become a fantasy football prodigy here. Okay. We're going to move on to the wide receiver position. And shocking, I'm not going to blab. I have one wide receiver start of the week. One guy that stuck out when I was looking at kind of like consensus rankings. Like, who do I think is really going to just absolutely dominate this week? Okay. And that is Davante Adams of the New York Jets on the road against the Jags. His production has been up and down since being traded to the Jets midseason, but Adams has been great in the Jets 2 games since their Week 12 bye. In Week 13, he saw 12 targets, which turned into 5 for 66 and a touchdown. And then in Week 14, he saw 11 targets, which turned into 9 for 109 and a touchdown. That Green Bay connection with Rodgers seems to still be there. And in Week 14, the Jets get to take on the Jags, who give up the 5th most points to wide receivers on the season. And they've just been a great matchup all year for offenses in general. There are only 2 worries with Adams. First, his teammate, Garrett Wilson, is also a great play at wide receiver, so you hope there is enough to go around for both of them. Second, the Jets have no hope for the playoffs. They're out, so the outcome of this game is inconsequential in that regard. Players always want to play well and put up numbers, whether that be for pride, financial ramifications for that next contract, or just the love of the game. But football players are human at the end of the day. When the season is over from a playoff perspective, motivation levels can vary depending on the player. And sometimes proven veterans like Davante Adams, they might opt to be a little more cautious with nicks and dings throughout a game and maybe not fight as hard to stay on the field. But with all that being said, Davante Adams is a great player, and this is a phenomenal matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I like him as a mid to high wide receiver 2 play in Week 15. And then just like the wide receiver position, chat, I got one tight end start of the week. We're going to go with TJ Hockenson of my Minnesota Vikings at home versus the Bears. He last played Chicago in Week 12, and he had 7 receptions for 114 yards on 9 targets. He has been disappointing in the 2 games since then, but unless you have a locked-in elite option, I'd stick with Hockenson in Week 15. In addition to TJ wrecking them last time you saw them, the Bears are just a really good matchup for tight ends on the season. He's a mid-tight end 1 play in Week 15. And there you have it. Those are my Week 15 starts of the week. We're going to do a quick defensive overview just to kind of get a lay of the land. So the Ravens on the road against the Giants. I believe DeVito is starting, right? Is Danny... I literally called him Danny DeVito. What's his actual name? Oh my God. Tommy? Is it Tommy DeVito? Dude, I literally just called him Danny DeVito, and I could not remember his actual name. So he is expected to start. So whether it's him or Drew Lock, the Ravens are a phenomenal play. They're heavy favorites. They're going to run the ball. You know, the Giants' offense is not good. So you got the Vikings at home versus the Bears. Their offense hasn't been great lately, and the Vikings have a good defense. Commanders against the Saints with Derek Carr out. You love targeting backup quarterbacks. So it's Hainer is his name. Hainer. So, and obviously, you know, they still don't have Olave, and Shaheed's been out for, you know, their offense is just falling apart. So, you know, if you have Kamara, you hope that he just gets like a ton of dump offs there. Other than that, you know, like the Chiefs against Cleveland, in Cleveland, Jameis is prone to interception, so you hope for that. Broncos at home versus the Colts is interesting because the Broncos defense is phenomenal, and Richardson at quarterback, he's been playing better, but you never know what you're going to get from him, and he might turn it over a little bit. After that, man, it's not a great week for streaming. The Cardinals at home versus the Patriots. You know, I don't expect the Patriots to put up a ton of points. So, and it's a rookie quarterback in Drake May. Cardinals defense has been surprisingly solid for fantasy, so they're okay. After that, you know, Jets against Jacksonville, you can play just because the Jags are not a good offense. It's in Jacksonville. The Jets defense has been kind of falling off a little bit. It's kind of like what I said about Davante Adams. Like the season is over, so. Again, they're humans. Like, I'm not saying they're going to give up, but there's not that like pedal to the metal motivation. Like, let's do this. Let's win the Super Bowl. Like, that's gone. That's done. You know, And like, there's rumors that Rodgers like is going to be gone next year. So it's like, what are we even playing for right now? Like, what's going on here? Eagles at home versus the Steelers. Eagles defense has been really good, and the Steelers are going to be without Pickens. That's his name. I'm just forgetting everyone's name today. George Pickens. So those are kind of the best plays of the week, I would say. And in my defense, I am recording this at 4 a.m. on Saturday, so my sleep schedule's absolutely destroyed. But I wanted to get this video out at least by Saturday morning. Any later than that, and it's like, why even record it? But that's gonna do it. Ladies and jellyfish, thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. Make sure to drop a like if you can, like wherever you are watching. If you're on YouTube, what up? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are enjoying the pod, so you can stay tuned for the next episode and become a fantasy football prodigy. Almost said my own thing incorrectly. You can follow me on social media. The biggest one is probably TikTok. It's a fantasy football prodigy, FFP. And then the YouTube is fantasy football prodigy. So, all right, good luck in the playoffs, everyone. If you got a bye week, still stay tuned in, see what's going on around you. Stay tuned to the news with injuries and all that. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the championship. Good luck to everyone except your opponents. Thanks for watching. Peace out.